Hey everyone, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our family tree shadow box. Got all my pieces cut out here in front of me, and this is actually going to be easier than you think. You're going to find yourself a nice piece of a full sheet of 12 by 12 pattern paper, preferably something that kind of looks like a sky, essentially. And we're going to begin by putting down the back layer, which are these two pieces. They're separated in half, and well, the cool thing is that our tree is actually going to eliminate that little seam that we see, so I don't have to worry about seeing that. So let's go ahead and begin applying our glue to our first layer, and sometimes it helps to kind of lift that paper up so you can kind of use your fingers to feel the edge and move things around so everything's nice and seamless. Of course, as always, spent a good, well, actually it wasn't even that bad, but I did take time to ink my pieces to add that extra dimension of color and interest into the project. Okay, now this one's going to line up. They're going to meet right here in the center. But again, make sure that it's nice and flush out to the very edge, side and bottom. If you have a little bit of a gap there, that's okay, because again, it's going to be hidden by our big old tree. Okay, that's the first layer. Next, we have some grass. And what you'll notice is on this grass, I ran this through an embossing folder. There are some arrows, and we want the arrows pointing at each other. Okay, this is also going to go down flush, like so. And if you want, what you can do is take and kind of curl these out a little bit to create some separation between this layer and the layer behind it. We do not need to glue that grass down, so just focus your glue on the main body of this piece. And you know, this is going to be a really cool and quick project, relatively speaking. Compared to a lot of our shadow boxes, I think this one's going to go together surprisingly quick because there's not that many pieces. Okay, we'll do the same thing on this one. Again, make sure those arrows are pointing in, and there's also a few little markers there to help you kind of align the tree, which we will then also cover up with another layer of grass. So we've created a whole little scene here with very minimal parts. I know you guys, sometimes when you see some of these projects, they seem a little daunting, but it's really not that bad. And I'm making this one for Liesel's mom for Mother's Day. Might as well kill two birds with one stone. Okay, so that's in place. Now this layer here, we're going to foam square this. We're going to foam square that out after we get the tree in place. Okay. We also have this little cloud feature here that we're just going to put down like this. It's going to go up against this hill. And I just need to find its little spot. It's going to go right there. Very subtle. I was going to ink it, but I don't want it to be too pronounced. I'm going to leave it alone. It's going to be just the way it is, just pure white. Okay. And again, let's find its little spot. Make sure it's behind the grass. That looks good right there. Perfect. Press that down. Okay. All right, now before we get into the tree, which is pretty simple, I have some little flowers that we're going to put together. Now there's a top layer and a back layer, and I went ahead and I inked the top layer. I left the back layer alone, and we just need to find the pieces that match up together. Like that one is close. You may have to rotate it a few times to find the exact position that it goes in. It's a mystery. Oh, that's not it. I think these are all the same. And they are not. So we need to figure out which ones go where. They do fit on there perfectly, so that could be it right there. Nope, that's not it. That's the one. Okay, so you see how that goes on. You might have to rotate it a few times just to make sure you get it in the right spot. And I'm just going to do a series of little dots on the back of this thing. So we're just going through and taking care of some of the little individual pieces that are hanging around, combining them. Okay. And then we also have to figure out where, this one's going to go right here, I believe. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. It's got to be this big one here. That's fun, huh? That's not it either. That's the one right there. Okay, so that one goes there. We're just going to glue that down flat. And once you've figured out the orientation, try to keep it in that position so you don't lose it. Okay, here's another large one. The other three are roughly the same size. Okay, so I feel like I'm in Survivor right now trying to figure out a puzzle. There we go. Figured that one out. So these two flowers are going to go on top of these two petals. You get the idea here. And then later on in the video, we're going to have it's going to be, well, probably going to be separate, but there's going to be a video that shows you how to do the print and cut. Many of you have done print and cut many, many times. And so it's, nothing new, but we will cover it because to make this thing, you need to do a print and cut for the names, which I have here. We've also included one for cats, one for dogs as well. Okay, so again, just need to rotate this around a few times until we find how it needs to sit. So, what we might do too, we were talking about this for deceased pets. Maybe we'll make something for that too. Pets that you had in the past that have passed on. Maybe we can make a little paw with some wings or something like that. I think that might be kind of cute. Okay, so I should have, before I did that, I should have lined this up first to make sure that I know which way it's going, because it is kind of random. There it is. Got it. A couple more. This is probably one of the more complicated parts of this project, and it's really just a matter of figuring out how to layer it. It's not really complicated, so to speak. I think I'm starting to see a pattern here now that I've been staring at this for a while. There's one little area where there's just a little nub. Okay, and that one, I believe, goes like this, and it does. Okay, so almost done with that. And another thing I mentioned in the how-to video for the print and cut is, if you have a smaller family, you can resize these and make them as big or as small as you'd like. Again, and if you have a larger family, you may need to shrink them down to get everybody to fit. And it's really up to you how small you want to make them. I probably would just keep it within your immediate family. Otherwise, that tree is going to be hidden completely, which I probably don't want. Okay, that one's going to go right there. And there we go. Okay, so we're going to use some foam squares on that later, but let's take a look at the main part of the tree real quick. Okay, so we have a wood patterned layer that's going to go on top of this layer to kind of create these little details that are inside. So here's, this looks complicated, but really it's not. Here's how I did it to make it work nicely. Let's just start with the trunk, the main part of the trunk. Okay, and we're going to go up past this little part to where it branches off into 3 sections. Okay, we'll throw a little bit of glue there. That's it for now. Okay, and we just need to get this section aligned first, just the bottom. Don't worry about all this stuff. We'll get to that in a minute. It might help to hold it like this and just align it at the bottom first. Be very careful. And shout out to our friend Tara, who's a dreamer, has been a long-time dreamer, for actually helping with some of these little details in the tree. Okay, she's been a very, very helpful friend. Very big Dreaming Tree supporter, and she's an artist too, and said, hey, you know, if you guys ever need any help with anything little, let me know. And I said, all right, well, hey, we may actually, because of her, resurrect our design team too, so we'll see. All right, so now that we have, well, actually you don't need that just yet. Now that we have the trunk in place, right, so you can see it's mostly lined up now. Now what we can do is, when we'll just do one at a time here. We'll do one main branch at a time. Just peel it back. You can put this flat down on your surface and work that glue up to onto the main branch, and don't worry about the thin parts of the branches. Just do the main part of it, and then we'll show you what we're going to do with the little details. So let's flip this over, because these do kind of move a little bit on their own. So we want to make sure that as we place this down, it's lined up as accurately as possible. If we have a little bit of that darker brown showing through, it's really not that bad. It actually makes it look kind of cool. So don't be afraid of that either. Okay, let's do the middle now. So we can peel this back, apply your glue there, and just work your way up the main part of the tree. Don't worry about the small little areas. We're going to use our little painting technique to get all those little sections glued down nicely. Okay, so again, focus on just the center, the middle part of the tree now. And again, you might have to nudge these a little bit left or right to get them aligned properly, and that's totally fine. There we go. And now this side. And when we're done, this will be 3 layers thick, because we have a layer of leaves as well. And those leaves are going to thicken this up again. I may have just already said that, but I kind of zoned out there while I was applying my glue, so don't be mad. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so now this one, that looks pretty good. Okay, so here's what we need to do now. I grabbed some pieces of scrap paper, and we're going to take and apply some glue to the scrap, and I'm just going to work my way up one branch at a time, and I am just going to tuck this between the outermost little branches and just dab that section there with a little bit of glue and press that down. Okay, separate. Mostly the tips is what you're really concerned with. You get that tip, the rest of it is not going anywhere. Okay, and these, again, these you may need to kind of give these a little bit of a nudge into the right place as well, because these are, you know, these little tiny little areas tend to have a mind of their own and may require a little bit of guidance to get into the right spot. Just get that tip and then press it down. It's so simple. Get this one here. Yeah, it's a little tedious, but you know what? It could be worse. Okay, so I'm going to reapply my glue to this. Just a thin, thin layer. Okay, and then we're going to go through each of these little tips and just press them down. Just focus more on the tip. Okay. Just like that. And the cool thing is that you don't have 100 separate leaves that you have to install either. They're all one, okay? Now we're gonna have to go through these little branches again and glue these down individually onto each of the leaves, but again, it's really not gonna be that bad, I promise you. Okay, we're almost done with one branch here already. Okay, I'm gonna go up to the tip of this one and get that one nice and aligned to help the rest of it get aligned. There we go. and then just work your way down. Press that down. So you get the idea here. So at this point, I don't know if I need to really talk about every single little thing I'm doing here, because this is just going to get really repetitive at this point. So you can pause me here, because I am going to get into story time probably. And for those of you that don't want story time, just pause, because I'm not doing anything different. When you see me pick up this piece here, then you know I'm working on the next step. Okay, so if you want to scrub through and you see me pick up that green piece, that's what I'll be doing. But I have to do this anyway. And for those of you that like to hear me talk about personal things, that's what I'll be doing probably. And I'll be throwing little tidbits in here and there as we go. But anyway, speaking of family trees, what a great transition that is, huh? I just posted a video of Peyton in the group. He is infatuated with the moon right now, which I think is adorable. I was always infatuated with the night sky, so much so that I actually asked for a telescope when I was, I think I was in 7th grade though. I don't know that I really paid much attention to the moon at 15 months. Maybe I did. Obviously, I don't remember. And unlike modern day, I don't have videos of every single day of my life like I do with Peyton, which I think is one of the good things about all of this technology, is preserving. Well, I don't know if we're going to preserve them or not, but I mean, they're there. I keep backups, but you know, to have that to look at, because boy, he, you know, brings me a lot of joy. Really motivates me. Such a good little boy too. So smart. I'm glad that Liesel changed my mind about the whole thing, because I was pretty dead set on, you know, I mean, she already had 2 from a previous marriage, and I was like, well, don't you think it's kind of, we have our hands full? He's like, yeah, she said, but you gotta have your own, otherwise you're gonna miss out. And I was like, yeah, maybe you're right. Everyone says that, and boy, was she right. Boy, was she right. She's probably the only woman that could have convinced me to do it, because she fought for it. And it was silly on my part, but that is why I think God brought her into my life. And I'm thankful he did. For many reasons, not just because of Peyton, but she makes me a better person too. Even though she's a sore loser sometimes when we get competitive, but that's a whole nother story. Hopefully she doesn't hear me say that. She doesn't watch my videos, so don't rat me out. Okay, so that's looking good. I got most of that one done. And you know what? If you miss a few here and there, I don't know that it's gonna. If I can't notice that I'm missing a few, then I don't think it's gonna make that much of a difference at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Okay. But obviously, we want to make this as nice as possible so it lasts as long as possible. And, you know, because we're putting it in a shadow box, I don't see it deteriorating. I have, back there, I've got stuff that we made, you know, 3, 4, 5 years ago. As long as it's in a shadow box, it's fine. I know a lot of you ask for like a paper shadow box, which is cool, and they're out there already, which is why we haven't really jumped at it and made one. But it doesn't, you need that glass element to protect it from, because they do put, there's some kind of a UV coating on that to help preserve whatever's inside, because light will destroy paper. Okay, so it won't destroy it. I mean, it's not going to set it aflame or anything like that, but it does. You know, I have cardstock behind me, and if it's not stacked perfectly on top of itself, and maybe you guys have noticed this too, if you have like one sheet on top of another sheet of the same color, the little bit that's sticking out, it's almost as if just that tiny little bit that's sticking out is like a shade lighter, like the light, even, you know, even man-made light, like fluorescent light or LED or whatever, can change its color, just fades it. I mean, nothing fades paper more than the sun, but any sort of light will accomplish the same thing if you expose it to it long enough. Okay, all right, so I'm almost done here. That wasn't so bad. Like I said, this is the most tedious part. You can try to put glue on all these, but I just don't think it's gonna work, and it's gonna end up a huge mess. So I wouldn't even bother, okay? All right, so that's that. I'm happy with that. Now, we're gonna do the same thing, but we need to apply this to our leaves, okay? So you can see now this whole thing kind of coming together, and this is like the last part, really, okay? So we're gonna do the same thing here. Careful. I'm gonna apply glue to just the main part of the trunk. Okay, I'm gonna go work my way up to about here. And you know what, let's just put some glue on there. And let's line up just the trunk, like so. Just make sure that's nice and aligned. Even right there is fine. Okay, let me take a look at this side here. There we go, press that down. And now if you are not completely satisfied with your inking, you can take some time now, and especially down here, I might want to make this a little more pronounced. Just kind of blend it a little bit more, muddy it up, kind of. Well, this paper is kind of muddy already. Okay, so now what we're going to do is do the same thing. We're going to go through and one branch at a time. Now you want to apply glue to this part here. And you know what, we can try this. We can try throwing a little bit of glue on these branches so we don't have to do it one at a time, but I have a feeling that by the time we get up to the top here, that it's going to start drying out and it's not even going to work. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. Maybe, I hope I'm wrong, because boy, that would speed things up. Maybe this will work. Let's give it a go. Worst case scenario, maybe we'll just have to go in and clean up a few of them here or there. There we go. You know what, that wasn't so bad, but see, this is exactly what I mean. I had a little bit of glue spill out there because I went out too far. Okay, and you know what? I kind of like that there's a little bit of separation between the branches and the leaves right there. Looks kind of nice, okay? We'll see. We'll see how it looks in a second here. Let me clean off this nozzle. And we'll do the next branch, the next main part of our tree. And do your best. And again, if you're trying this method here and you do get a lot of glue on one of those thin branches, you may want to hit that with your finger to thin it out before you place it down, because some of that glue is probably going to squirt out onto your nice green paper and potentially blemish it. Now, we do have a saving grace, and that is our little hearts that we're going to put on there. Ultimately, that might cover it up, so you could probably strategically do that. Okay, let's get this lined up. Yeah, see that? I had the glue hit. It's okay. Let's see what happens here. That's not bad. We'll just press that down with our fingers. That's not bad at all. Looks really nice. Okay, like I said, we'll go in and touch up any little areas that maybe need a little extra love by using that gluing method. I guess going up some of these thicker, thin branches is kind of helpful. Saves a little bit of time. As long as it doesn't blemish the leaves too much. I'm okay with whatever you want to do. And even if it does, oh well. We're having fun, we're playing. And we're making something beautiful that whoever is going to get, even if there's a few little mistakes here or there, they're going to love this. They're going to love this. What mom would not love this? Or dad? Okay. Okay, so I would, again, spend a little time going through now with a little piece of scrap and just find little areas here right at the tips. Pretty much just the tip is all you need. And just paint a little bit of glue onto those tips and press them down. Now another thing that you can do is after you get these little tips glued down, if you want, you can take and pinch the tips of these to give them a little bit of extra dimension. Okay, so they're not so flat. I will go ahead and do that too. So I'm probably going to do this off camera so that I don't bore you with a very repetitive, monotonous process. And then we'll meet back and just wrap this thing up. Right, so that's not so bad. Okay, now you can go through, and I try to pinch as many of these as possible. You don't have to do every single one. It's okay if some of them are not, but do as many as you feel. Some of these smaller ones, I wouldn't pinch them because it might kind of throw it off a little too much. Okay, and you know, once we actually get this in place, if through this painting process, some things just still kind of came off, it's not going to be too late to fix them. So you can always go back in later and tidy it up if it needs it. I don't think mine does. There's a few little spots that maybe could use a little extra love, but for the most part, I'm very happy with how it turned out. So here's what we're going to do, because we are going to flip this over, and using foam squares, we're going to raise this up. Okay, so we can begin applying foam squares. We're going to be very generous with the foam squares on this project because we want it to be nice and solid, and each one is doing a little bit of the lifting, but together they are a powerhouse. And I'm going to work my way up the main parts of the tree first, and then we'll try to find some areas on some leaves where we can add a few just to kind of give it a little extra strength up towards the top of the canopy. Okay, just working your way up. Work your way up. Okay, and you can also, if you want, you know that you can cut these with some scissors if you need some smaller pieces. And that's going to come in handy, especially with when we get onto like these leaves here, see? And maybe we'll just make sure that we anchor the top leaves. I think that would be very helpful. Like the leaves that are at the very, very end of each of the branches. Okay, so let's feel it out. That's pretty good. I think that'll work. So here's what we do now. We'll grab the main part of our thing here, and you'll see that there's actually an outline for where the trunk goes so that you can line it up. There's little like V shapes there. Okay, so you see how pretty that's already starting to look. Okay, and I'm going to peel these off now. Okay, let's get them all off. I think the amount of foam squares we have on here is plenty. Don't need to do any more. Let me put this on my surface. Okay. Oops. And then what we'll do is when we go to place this on the main part of our, well, this sheet here, just like we did before, we'll anchor the bottom of the trunk first, and then press the rest of it in place, because if we have it lined up with these 3 markers here, we know that it's going exactly where it needs to. And then just give it a light press. Okay, look at the little shadows that it's starting to cast. That's super cool. Okay, so there's that. Now this piece is going to go right over the tree here, like so, just to kind of cover it up. And of course, we've got some beautiful flowers. And what we're going to do with this is, well, since this is already 1 layer, we're going to want 2 layers of foam squares for this one. I'm going to pull out the big guns here so that we don't need to use as many. I have some thicker ones. Okay, and you can also, you know, before we do that, you can take some of these little guys and flare them out a little bit, give them a little bit of life. I went and hit this with a little bit of black ink just to give it a little bit of a gradient. Okay, let's flip it over. And so this is going to go flush on the bottom, centered like this. You're going to have to eyeball it, which is fine. Okay, so this here is not going to need anything. But these sides here, I'm going to do 2 here. Let's peel those off, and let's add another layer on top, like that. How did that get there? Did I not take that one off? I don't know. And put that one there. The rest of it will rest on the tree trunk, so I think it'll be fine. So we got 2 layers there, 2 layers there. We'll flip this over. And pardon my head here for just a second. Let's get that nice and centered. Okay, and that looks pretty good, I'd say. Okay, and then if you want, what I forgot to do, and it's okay, we can take and can apply a couple 2 tree layers, just 2 layers of foam squares on the back of these flowers so that they stay in place. Okay, just peel them back. Probably should have done that beforehand, but I thought they'd be okay, and they probably would be, but just to be safe, that one doesn't need any. The one that's resting against the tree trunk. Okay, that one there, and then 2 for this guy here. There's 1, there's 2, peel off the backing, pop that into place, and there we have it. So now, the last step, and I already pre-assembled mine. After you do your print and cut, you're gonna have a print and cut layer, and then you're gonna have the gold foil layer, and these are just gonna go wherever you wanna put them, okay? So I would probably start, and I'm not gonna do this just yet, because I'm gonna lay this out, walk away, and kind of work my way back to it. Okay, so like, well, this is Grandma and Grandpa, right? And then we're gonna do their kids, and maybe they branch out this way. Okay, so each one has its own little branch. So maybe they go like here. It's up to you how you want to do it. This is not something I would rush. I would lay them out and see how it looks, come back to it. Okay, so those are her kids. No, they're not. Gabby. And then they have 1. And then Angel can go over here, and you can lay it out however you want. And then finally, that's going to go into your shadow box. And we've also included, now if you want to use your actual surname, you're welcome to do that, but in your folder, you will find a caption that says Our Family, and that will go right about here on your glass. Okay, you can put it down further, but I think this would be the best place for it, right about here. So That's it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please visit us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. While you're there, hit the little bell so you get notifications anytime we release a new project, whether it be paid or free. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I'd love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Official. That's where you'll find myself and over 46,000 other dreamers that inspire us daily. Oh, and I almost forgot, these here, I would just use some foam squares to put these down, but that looks lovely. Anyway, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos and please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section where you'll find over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly tutorials. I'll see you in the craft room.